Hello and welcome. Today I will provide an in-depth analysis of how joint ownership interest in Nigerian landed property can be transferred. As a legal practitioner, I will focus on the practical and legal aspects under the Land Use Act, which is the primary legislation governing land transactions in Nigeria. This presentation is primarily informational and aims to empower co-owners with the knowledge needed for effective transfers. Let's now move over to the slides for more interactive section. Okay, by way of introduction and overview, over the next few minutes, we will explore the key issues affecting the transfer of joint ownership interest in land in Nigeria. I will cover the legal background, especially the Land Use Act, explain the process and challenges, and offer practical solutions and examples. My aim is to provide you with both theoretical insights and practical guidelines for managing transfers. Let's now move over to the overview of Nigerian land law and the Land Use Act. In Nigeria, the Land Use Act of 1978 governs all transactions involving land. Under this act, all land is held in trust by the state through the governor, meaning that individuals only hold rights of occupancy. This framework is intended to prevent land hoarding and ensure that land is used for the benefit of all. Understanding these principles is crucial when transferring interest in land, as the Act sets strict requirements and procedures. Let's now look at types of land interest under the Land Use Act. Even though the state holds the ultimate title under the Land Use Act, individuals secure their rights through a certificate of occupancy. These rights can be held jointly. It is important to note that while customary law still influences land matters in many communities, statutory rights as defined by the Land Use Act takes precedence in formal transactions. This sets the stage for discussing joint ownership structures in Nigeria. Let's now look more in-depthly into joint ownership of land in Nigeria. Joint ownership in Nigeria can take the form of joint tenancy or tenancy in common. In joint tenancy, all parties have equal rights and the right of survivorship applies, while tenancy in common allows for unequal shares and permits a deceased owner's share to pass to heirs. However, regardless of the form, any transfer must adhere to the provisions of the Land Use Act, including state approval and proper registration. Okay, let's now look at the legal framework governing transfer of interest in Nigerian land. The transfer of interest in land in Nigeria is not governed solely by the Land Use Act. Supplementary legislations and case laws and customary practices play roles in how transfers are executed. While the Land Use Act provides the statutory framework, you must also consider the nuances introduced by state legislations and judicial interpretations. Let's move over to the step-by-step process for transferring joint ownership. Transferring joint ownership involves several crucial steps. First, co-owners must negotiate and agree on the terms. Then a deed that complies with the Land Use Act is drafted. The next step is submitting the deed for state approval and registration, which is essential to obtaining an updated certificate of occupancy. Finally, any associated fees or taxes must be settled. Each step is vital to ensure a legally sound transfer. Let's take a look at the documentations and compliance requirements. Proper documentation is key. You must gather all relevant documents, including the current certificate of occupancy, the drafted deed, and evidence of identity and ownership. Depending on the state's implementation of the Land Use Act, you may need additional approval, typically from the governor's office, and you must ensure that all fees and duties are paid before the transfer is finalized. Okay, let's now look at the financial and tax implications involved in transfer interest in a land jointly owned. The financial implications are significant in any land transfer. In Nigeria, you must consider stamp duties, transfer fees, and the ongoing payment of ground rent as provided under the Land Use Act. Additionally, there may be capital gains and other tax implications that could affect the net benefits of the transfer. So it is advisable to consult with tax specialists to understand your liabilities and so that you can plan accordingly. Okay, there are some common challenges, and we have also provided practical solutions when it comes to transferring your interest in a land that is being co-owned by different individuals. Challenges can arise at every stage, from disagreement among the co-owners to delay in state approval, the governor giving his approval to the transaction. These challenges may be compounded by the interplay between statutory law and customary practices. So to mitigate these issues, it is crucial to have a clear and well-written agreement, and also to seek professional advice early. In the event of a dispute, alternative dispute resolution methods such as mediation can help avoid lengthy litigation. It is advisable to toe the line of alternative dispute resolution when it comes to issues like this, because if you proceed to court, you don't know when the matter will be resolved, and it might not be the best for the co-owners in the process. Okay, let's also look at dispute resolution and partition action in detail. If disputes over transfer or management of co-owned land arise, several remedies are available. Often, negotiation and mediation can resolve conflict without resorting to court. We have said that earlier. It's better for you to negotiate and mediate the issue, so that resorting to court will be the last resort. However, if an agreement cannot be reached, a judicial partition may be necessary. Under such an action, the court can order a sale of the property or physically divide it according to each owner's share, subject to the Land Use Act. So if you cannot be able to resolve it through mediation and negotiation, it's better you approach a court of law in order for the property either be sold or divided according to the shares of each owner, so that the process can be resolved accordingly. Okay, let's also look at some best practices for smooth transfer process. To ensure a smooth transfer, start by consulting professionals who understand both the legal and practical aspects of Nigerian land law. It's advisable to draft all documents clearly, keep records updated, and maintain transparency among all parties. Also, very importantly, you have to maintain regular compliance check with the Land Use Act, so that you can avoid disputes and delays, because if you know the content of the Land Use Act with regards to any particular issue, in this case with regards to transfer of interest in land where there are co-owners, it will help fast track the process so that there won't be issues along the way. Okay, let's now look at some innovations and future trends in Nigerian land transfers. The Nigerian land sector is evolving. Digital and blockchain-based registration systems are being explored to reduce fraud and improve efficiency. These innovations, coupled with ongoing legal reforms, promise to make the transfer process smoother and more transparent. So staying informed about these trends is essential for practitioners and co-owners alike. Okay, let's take a look at some practical examples and case studies in Nigeria. Let's consider two practical scenarios. In one, a family member voluntarily transfers his shares in a property following all the necessary steps and approvals. Then in the second scenario, a divorce leads to the severance of joint tenancy and the departing spouse interest is transferred according to agreed terms and statutory requirements. So you can see in these two scenarios, both parties had already put their hearts in order. So it's now leads to smooth transfer without much issues. Then in conclusion, transferring joint ownership interest in Nigerian land requires a thorough understanding of the Land Use Act and the various legal and practical steps involved. I hope this presentation has clarified these points and provided useful guidance. I now welcome any questions or comments you may have. And for personalized consultation, further guidance, and additional resource on co-owners transfer of joint ownership in Nigerian land, please reach out through our official channels. Visit our website to access detailed guide, case studies, and expert insights designed to keep you informed of the latest regulatory updates and best practices. Partner with us to leverage our deep industry knowledge and keep the next step towards legal insight under the Land Use Act. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to download this presentation for your reference and also subscribe to our YouTube channel for more valuable content like this. Thank you.